Welcome back to the program, Orange Mud. Orange Mud was founded in 2012 by Josh Sprague after being driven to innovation through frustration. After years of adventure racing, mountain biking, running, and triathlon, Josh needed a stable, comfortable, and functional pack that just wasn't available on the market. Starting with a single bottle carrier prototype and growing to now over 50 hydration packs and accessories, the mission of Orange Mud has remained the same. Create innovative products that work just as well for the elite runner as the person at the back of the pack who's spending the most amount of time testing the true limits of themselves and their gear. Go to orangemud.com and check out all their stuff. We had a recent review up that Jen Wade did. She loved it. That's orangemud.com.
Yeah! Get up!
Welcome to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast with Matt B. Davis.
With over 300 episodes since 2012, Matt has produced the most consistent podcast in OCR.
Each episode, Matt speaks with race directors, athletes, and industry insiders to bring you the most in-depth interviews and conversations in the world of obstacle racing,
adventure runs, and ultra marathons. If you have small children nearby, now is the time to put on some headphones
or send them off to watch Phineas and Ferb, as there are occasionally four-letter words,
which are not bleeps. Now, here is your host.
Now here is your goddamn host.
Now here's your host, fucking Matt B. Davis.
Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast. I am your host, Matt B. Davis, coming to you live in your ears on a Monday. It's not Monday right now. I'm recording this in the past. Isn't that amazing how time works? I'm here in the office. I'm drinking the homebrew out of my ARFTA mug. That's a Race for the Ages, which I did way back in 2016 at the beginning of September. You can Google that. Google A Race for the Ages, Matt B. Davis, or go to obstacleracingmedia.com and type in A Race for the Ages, and you can hear about a little adventure I took when I tried to race 100 miles, 1 mile at a time. A race put on by the one, the only Laz up there in Tennessee. Go listen to that. But that's the mug I'm enjoying this morning. I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon members, of which we have a few new ones. I'm going to read them all in order, well, alphabetically at least, as they are sorted by this CSV file. Brad Heilwagen. Brad, you're kind of the man. I just got to say it. You're the man. Chris Stevens, also the man, writes for us. Dan MacArthur, great dude. Eric Wilkin, great person. Jeff Schoaf, rhymes with loaf. Matthew Punton. These are all like long-time fans of the show. So thanks, guys. These guys have been hanging in since, 12, 14, quite some time. Mike O'Farrell. What can I say about Mike? We've become fast friends. Mike came through town. We hung out. And Mike's helped me with some stuff. We'll get to that later. M. Stefano Running. M. Stefano Running, also known as Obstacle Running Adventures. He and his longtime girlfriend, Caitlin, I almost said wife, then I almost said fiance. I don't know why they don't just fucking tie the fucking knot at this point. Wacky kids. They do a great job. If you are listening to this program, you should also listen to their program. Now, at first it's like, oh, they seem to cover a lot of like local races. That seemed to be their focus. So I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, because it's basically their local running club. But have no fear, they cover all the big ones, and they're getting better and better and better at doing a lot of race finish line coverage, which I know if you like this show and how I do it, they cover a lot of that, and they're doing a great job with it. And what can I say? Their banter together is, you can't make it up. It's beautiful. OCR Talk, another OCR podcast down there covering the, let's see, what would you call that region? Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas region? Check them out. Ryan Maisano, Samantha Thompson, who's new. Welcome, Samantha. Sean Rumbaugh, Sophia Harnedy, new, and the one, the only, Will Hicks of the world's toughest podcast, who may have not posted an episode lately, but that guy is killing it on the Instagram stories. Go follow World's Toughest Podcast. If you want to be a Patreon member, if you want to have your name shouted out, if you want really cool stuff that's coming, you want to show your love and support for this show, and you like what it does for the community, you can check it out at patreon.com/Obstacle Racing Media, or just go to Patreon and type in Obstacle Racing Media. It's a way for you to contribute to a maker of material like myself in this modern day world. If you're thinking to yourself, I heard an ad at the beginning of this show, why do I want to give you money? Well, those ads cover some of the costs of this operation known as ORM, but not all of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be asking. So there you go. Love for you to contribute. Check out Patreon. We got some really cool stuff coming your way with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, people who have typed in your credit cards so far. It means a lot. On today's program, the two Ryans in 3D. Ladies and gentlemen, we asked for your feedback. What do you like, and what do you guys say? Give us more Ryans. Just give us more Ryans. We got to have more cowbell. Ryan Atkins, Ryan Woods, two of the best in our sport today, have become a fixture on this program. You can go back and listen to the previous 2 times they were on. You'll not be missing much if you haven't heard them, but if you go back and listen to them, you will have a good chuckle or two. I brought them on right after the West Virginia race, so we talked some about that, some leading up to Tahoe, the big Spartan Championship in 2 weeks, which I will be at. Many of you are asking, Matt, are you going to be in Tahoe this year? And wouldn't you know it, I will be. Believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, I've not been to Tahoe. I covered all the championships in Killington, right? 12, 13, 14. I think they moved there starting in 15. So 15, 16, 17, I've missed. This year I'm finally going to be out there. Tons of content from that. Anyhow, the two Ryans, it's a great chat. You'll really appreciate it. Away we go.
Hello?
Well, that could be anybody. That could be Cookie Monster. That could be anybody doing an impression of Ryan Atkins. So Ryan was on and then he left. Let me make sure this is on the right.
Woody, get back on.
Okay, we're up and live, as they say.
Awesome. So Matt.
Yeah, man.
Going, you're looking awful chipper today.
Awful what?
You're looking chipper.
I am chipper. It's Friday. Got to get down on Friday.
Friday.
I'm relatively relaxed. Here comes Goofball Woodsy. Now, as soon as we bring him on here.
Katie's phone.
So should he be known as the late Ryan?
I was here before you. Guys, I got something to unveil. Check this out.
He was already here, and then he left, and he came back.
Check this out. You ready for this?
Yep.
I'm wearing my podium shirt. Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
Isn't that nice?
But will you be representing it in Tahoe in a few weeks?
Yeah, have to be. That's the rules.
All right. Well, before this goes completely off the rails, and I'm sure it will. So first of all, I know I've spoken to both of you offline, but I just want to say publicly how much I appreciate you doing this with me. Most of the feedback I get these days is, hey, I really enjoy the show. By the way, the two Ryans is the best thing ever.
We are pretty awesome.
I don't blame people for thinking that.
Yeah. And then Woodsy did a takeover, and that put him in like another level of ridiculousness.
Like another echelon.
I don't understand any ridiculous reference. That was just a serious day for me.
I want to be the big one. I want to be like I'm in charge. Can you guys see these different versions we're doing?
No.
What? I don't know. Broadcast layout? It looks the same to me.
Looks the same to me, eh?
Don't you know?
Let's start with West Virginia, okay?
All right. Go for it.
Ryan Atkins, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how did you perform personally? How did you feel you performed?
1 to 10, you said the scale goes?
These are deep questions.
It's a pretty standard scale, I guess. I'd say I performed like a 8.5.
Where do you feel like you missed the mark, other than the spear, obviously?
Oh, burn! Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely missed the mark on the spear. Actually, I didn't miss the mark. It just friggin' fell out. Apparently, someone said they used like straw bales instead of hay bales.
Did you see it on Sunday? What was left of the spearman?
Yeah.
It was just like a pile of like somebody grabbed a handful of hay and dropped it there, and people were still throwing it.
Man, if I was racing on Sunday and like I saw that, I would just walk over to the friggin' race director and get him to.
I want to be walking to the burpee pit. That's for sure.
I love how Woodsy laughs at you missing the spear when he's so goddamn slow. You still passed him.
Ouch.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
burn.
I mean,
Man.
obviously, I kind of ran a bit faster in like the beginning parts of the races. Like about a mile in, I was just like, man, this feels too fast to maintain for 2 hours, so I'm going to slow down a bit, and that's what I did.
It probably was.
Well, Ryan Atkins, you are the guy that's known to be a late charger, or you're just going steady the whole time and pass people. But when Ryan Atkins is not in the lead, no one says, "Oh no." They know that that's been your experience, correct? That's sort of your traditional. I mean, unless we're talking like Battle Frog 2015 when you had no competition.
Hey, I did Battle Frog in 2015. What do you mean?
Well, I went back and looked at it's actually pretty hard to do because the course is so hilly, but I found like a 500-meter segment towards about halfway into the race, and then a 500-meter segment like towards the end of the race. And my like running pace was like about 5 seconds slower in like the second one than it was in the first one. So I was running about the same speed the whole race. It was just, I guess.
I don't want to see my pace for those two segments.
Some other people whose names also start with R must have slowed down.
Yeah, definitely.
No, is it safe to reveal that you guys in fact have the same two first names?
Is it safe to reveal your middle name?
No.
Well, then we'll have to leave it a mystery.
Okay.
No, we're both Ryan Josephs. We're Ryan Joes.
Yeah. Woo woo. Ryan Joseph, number 2. You're looking awfully pixelated right now. Is that just my internet connection, or is that happening?
I don't know. Matt B, what do you think?
You're looking a little pixelated to me. I can't really tell. Lindsay.
Why are you squinting so much, Matt?
But apparently it's a stoned version of you. This is Atkins High.
Lindsay, can you get Sunto?
Lindsay, pass the cookies.
Turning into Yoda.
Where is the current female U.S. Spartan Series champion?
Man, she is just in the other room.
Okay,
we
don't need to get her. By the way, we have some viewers. Viewers, you can throw up your comments. We may or may not get to your questions.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I think rather than dissect the race, I honestly would rather talk about Tahoe. Neither of you has won Tahoe. Neither of you has won Killington. Something has to give. So Ryan Woods, if you know that that might be a weakness of yours, what is it going to take to have a sort of a perfect race there at Tahoe and pass the guy next to you on the microphone here and Killian and Cody?
I just got to run faster than them.
Did you just say that? Did you just say that on my broadcast?
No, I mean, the formula is simple. I've got to, Tahoe's known for its big carries. I got to be fast on the carries. I need to be, my strength is climbing mountains, so I got to be fast up the mountain. I would say one of my weaknesses is the technical downhill, so I gotta be quick down there. I can't lose too much ground, and a clean obstacle day. You can't make mistakes. They have a spear, 7 miles in. You miss that, it's going to be hard to catch up with other people. Bye, Katie. Katie's leaving. Say bye to Katie. Bye. Show everyone your garden haul.
Can you see it? This is all vegetables. I made these.
Isn't that impressive? Worm poop. # worm poop. I'm trying to make that a thing.
Worm poop.
Yeah.
Hi.
Is it working?
Dude, it's insane. Like we that would be our entire season of a garden in previous years. Like she's going to my parents' house to give that to him right now. That's just like extras that we can't even keep up with. It is amazing.
She can come to our place and give it to us if you want.
I've got a whole sandbag full of worm poop, worm castings. It's incredible. I mean, highly recommended.
All right. So
Tahoe.
At this point, do both of you go in expecting like, okay, they're going to get stupid with the carries? They're going to give us a double sandbag or 2 separate bucket carries or 2 separate sandbags. You just like, all right, well, that's coming.
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to do anything to get any stupider than in the past. I mean, because it's gotten at times pretty insanely stupid. I think 2 years ago was probably the stupidest I did besides, Killington a few years ago, which I didn't make it through that. But you expect that, yeah.
I'm hoping for a double bucket carry.
Stack them.
Or
one on each bicep.
The triple sandbag.
Don't give them any ideas. Someone's going to hear that.
They're like, wait a minute. What's better than a double sandbag?
A triple.
But Ryan, are you still stronger than all those guys I just mentioned? Fatkins. Are you stronger than everybody else? So that probably would help you.
Yes is the answer. I can answer that.
I don't have quite the same man buns as some other people, or it depends how you define strength, because are you talking just strength of hairstyle or strength of carries? Because there's they're different things.
I do not have the strength of hairstyle. I'll tell you that. Oh God,
I'm hoping for some heavy carries. That'd be great. And if they made us ride mountain bikes or unicycles or I don't know, like slacklining, maybe a Rubik's Cube in there. Like, these are all things that just play to my strength. So
I think we should just run, and I'm okay with like a monkey bar and maybe an over/under through. Just make it a running race. That really surprise people, catch them off guard.
Right. They're like,
surprise! We left the obstacles behind.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no one would be prepared for that.
Well, I do want to talk about. So I had brought up earlier. One of the conversations we talked about was I had mentioned that the women's field seems to be more competitive because we see the same people on the podium week in, week out, or in the top 5 positions. And you pointed out to me that there are several men who may not be on the podium, but who are closing the gap, so to speak. Could you speak to that? Woodsy, I'll have you go first on that. What you talked about, the gap, et cetera.
Well, just going back to one race, I mean, you look at Utah and, it's always tough with the Spartan coverage, it's always tough to know what's going on because it's so usually poor and choppy and you really only see the leader. But in the Utah race, I mean, Lindsay won by 4 minutes, whereas on the guy side, 10th place was within 4 minutes of the win. And there's a lot of guys. I mean, you see the podium has been pretty similar, a lot of these races, but there's so much depth to the field that the difference between 2nd place and 8th place is a failed obstacle. And that's why you're seeing a lot of new guys on the podium, is because they had that good day, and a guy that you'd usually be off of it maybe missed an obstacle, or maybe it was just running slow. And that's a depth of field too this year, without a lot of the big names in the sport from 2014 and 2015 who just don't show up and compete because Spartan's not paying them to show up anymore, like guys like Bracken and Chad and Glenn, and I mean guys that are really good at the sport, Isaiah, Hunter, that have been around forever that don't compete anymore. So I mean, there's a lot of depth to the guy's side, and even though you see the same handful of people winning and on the podium, there's a lot of guys knocking on that door.
So let's talk about those guys. So Batress is one of them, right?
Yeah. Mark, oh for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, you were going to say something there, Fatkins?
That's going to stick, Fatkins.
That's enough, you boy. Don't be so surprised. I was just saying that, man, what was I saying? I don't know. Now Ryan's being all creepy with his cat. Totally lost my
talking about the gap, that there's a lot of men, and there's, he named 5 people who don't even show up anymore.
There's so many more than that too. Yeah. Bear.
Yeah. And just to go on with having a good day versus a bad day, I think that I think there is still an upper tier, and then like a group like Woodsy saying that's kind of knocking on, but the upper tier is probably Woodsy, Killian, and I, and then there's a group of 5 or 6 other guys who are just a few percentage back, but right there. And I think the difference between those two groups is Woodsy said, a missed obstacle or if one of those guys from the second tier has a really good day and one of us has a really bad day, like those positions could easily swap. So
and
yeah,
a lot of
it's
those
cool, and it's great seeing the depth of field and all the excitement and stuff. So
a lot of those second tier guys too, they're that one step away, and almost all of them it's being a little faster. So you look at a guy like Kirk who's got a running background and he kind of got away from it for a little bit. If he starts getting back some of his college speed, I mean, he's going to be formidable up on the podium every time he shows up. But most of those guys, they might have a slight hole in their running game. Maybe they're bad at uphills. Maybe they don't have any, speed on flats or downhills. There's some little flaw, but most of it for those guys is running. There's a couple of guys that are, break down with strength stuff late, and that would have been where I think I fell for a little while. But there's tons of guys knocking the door. And I guess what initially started this conversation, when you look at the women's field, it seems like it's these 5 that have broken away and they're always competing, but it's really 5 that are just significantly better than the field. And even amongst that group, you still see some pretty significant separation amongst them.
Well, Lindsay, if you compare what Lindsay looks like at the finish line and what her husband looks like at the finish line, like Atkins has like spent his whole life, and Lindsay's like doo.
Bag on Atkins day.
I'm not bagging on Atkins. I'm pointing out how amazing Lindsay is. I want to ask you.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's funny because the whole live stream on the weekend, they're like, "Oh my God, this is the tightest race we've ever seen. It's so incredible." And then Lindsay won by 4 minutes or whatever. And it's like, and then they're like, and the guys' race was kind of boring. And then it's like, we're all within a minute of each other. And it's like, I was like, what? Like Lindsay blew up the whole field out of the water. And just because she kind of chilled for the first half of the race and then attacked.
And
it
same
doesn't
thing
make
in
it
Utah.
a competitive, exciting race. Like same thing with Utah. In an hour-long race, she put like 4 minutes into them. That's like they weren't even in the same race. Like she wasn't even.
That's 30 seconds a mile if you do that math. 30 seconds a mile is getting out of eyesight in 1 mile basically, and it's never broken down that evenly, but that just means the first 2 miles they're together. By mile 7, she's putting a minute a mile on them.
All right, so let's talk about some of these men. First of all, let's talk about the newest name I've ever seen, Ryan Woods. Can you tell us? Sorry, Ryan Atkins. Do you know anything about McHale?
Mick, yeah.
What can you tell us about him?
Oh, he's just a good Canadian chap from Manitoba.
There we go. I knew you were going to leave with the Canadian.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a good guy. He's definitely speedy, super fit guy. He's a teacher, I believe, and he just loves racing and being active and being fit. And I raced him at the Canadian Championships last year, and him and I were like together for the first. It was like actually the easiest beast ever. It took us an hour and a half to do, but we were together for like the first 90% of the race, and then I was able to.
Hey, whatever happened to Mr. Undefeated Canada Spartan guy until you came along, and then he never. What happened to that guy? Was that Benjamin?
Who? Benjamin
Bouchon.
Oh, Benjamin Morin Boucher. Yeah, I think.
Good job, man.
Was that your French accent?
No.
I think that's his name.
Who are you talking about?
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Mathieu Davis. Que fais-tu là?
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Well, you had talked about. I want to know.
By the way, Mick was also on the Canadian World Championship team last year. I think they got third, him and Austin and Faye. So he's not that
second or third.
He's been doing really well. I think he was like 7th or 8th last year in Tahoe.
Well, everyone was
9th or 10th.
Everyone was quite surprised by the lack of Atkins and Lindsay on the Canadian Spartan team last year. Will you be doing that event on Sunday Tahoe, Atkins?
Well, this.
Will I be doing the event?
This year it's a bit different. It's like a 3-person. It's like 3 males and 3 females, right? So
Yeah.
last year it was a co-ed thing, and
2
I think
dudes
they
and a
just don't
chick.
really know what's going on, so they just kind of choose. I don't know who over there is like, you know what, this year we're gonna do co-ed, and next year we're gonna do all the same sex, like. But anyways, it's the same sex, so I'll be doing a team with 2 other Canadians, and I think Lindsay's doing a team with 2 other Canadians, obviously. Yeah, it should be fun. It's like a kind of fun event. You end up just going the speed of kind of your slowest person, but you have that team dynamic, which is always really fun. Unless someone tests positive afterwards, and they take it away.
Oh, boo. It's not like anything special happened that day anyway. I mean, come on,
like
who cares?
Hypothetical, anyway, right?
Hypothetical, yeah.
Hypothetically speaking.
Now we're turning on me, huh? I thought we were ganging up on Fatkins today.
You look like an alien with your little like buds coming out of your ears there.
Only one of them works too. I don't know what to do with this one. So
what?
Yeah, I mean it works right now. I think I need to like plug it back in or something. So it's
charge it maybe.
Can we? I want to finish this note on who's next, because for people that pay attention, there are weekend now. There are let's say cherry pick weekends that people might show up to because there was just a big race and nobody's going to that one, or a Sunday or whatever. But for actual contention, like, it's tough to tell, right? So this is what I was asking you, offline, is let's take Batrus, Hosick, Kempson, and VJ. Like, of those guys, are they able to close the gap? Are those the kind of people you're talking about who, like, okay, if they get a little bit faster, they might be able to catch you guys?
I think for most of that group, getting faster is the big thing. So I mean, you take Ryan Kempson, for instance. He had a hip injury pretty bad and surgery like 3-4 years ago. So he's slowly getting into running, and he's somebody that has shown the capability of running out front with the leaders at a few races. He did that in Seattle. He was with us when it was the 4 Ryans out front. He blows up when he does that, but I think he's got a cardiovascular engine too. So, of that group, I mean, I'd lean to him or Hosick or, Mark is already fast. For him, it's just obstacle efficiency and trail running. And then VJ's, got a long way to go in terms of mountain running and endurance, but he's shown that he's capable of being fast on flat courses. So he's young. He could develop. I mean, there's strengths and weaknesses to all of them. They all have potential, but they all still have work to do.
What do you say there, Fatkins?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, every time when Woodsy says, like, they all need to get faster, it's kind of funny. I just laugh a bit because it's a race. So
they
need to get faster. They want to win.
You remember when I said, how are you going to win Tahoe? That's what he said. He said, run faster. And I was
I know. Yeah.
I mean, that's the secret's out. Run faster.
Yeah. Matt's trying to cool himself down there with some ventilation.
I am. I'm starting to sweat a little bit.
No, yeah, I don't blame you. Anyways, yeah, I think what makes like a really good athlete is like the ability to perform like over and over again, and like to assess your weaknesses and to kind of attack them and overcome them and become better. And I think a lot of these guys have kind of been in that second group for a while, and I'm not saying that they're not like good athletes, but they haven't taken the step to kind of close that gap and to improve in the areas that they need to improve in. And until they do, they're all just going to stay in that second group unless they have like a breakout performance or a breakout year, or they best. But yeah, they need to change something. All of them probably. They need to, whether it's how they train or what, obstacle proficiency, or like they have weaknesses in their game and they need to assess them. And until that happens, they're not going to suddenly go from here to here.
And it's
well,
so
my
easy.
Opinion anyways.
It's so easy to be stubborn as an athlete too. And I think I was a victim of that for a long time in this sport. And it really took like that ultimate shitty race to say, all right, you're doing things wrong. And it was Seattle for me last year. You remember jogging past me on that double sandbag as I'm struggling my ass off. And I think I finished like 14th that race. And I'm like, I'm doing all this training, putting in all this work, and I'm just so weak. So, I think a slap in the face like that is what some people need to get to the next level. And for me, it was like, all right, time to start doing strength work. Time to start doing squats, deadlifts, practice heavy carries. And it's amazing, like sometimes if you just get out of your own head, if you just are willing to step back and see what you're doing wrong, it's amazing the breakthrough that you can have when you do that. But so much of human behavior is human nature is to just, I'm doing this right, I've got this, I don't need anybody's help, that's nothing, I can do it on my own. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's a big reason why Lindsay's been so dominant is she, and I mean, I see it because I'm around her all the time, she like systematically works on all the things that she's the worst at. And it's like, it's tough because these are all the things she sucks at. She's not out running like hill repeats and running tons of miles and like, oh, this is so great, I'm able to do this all day and I feel wonderful and I'm getting all this mileage. Like, it's like, no, she's out pulling tires and carrying shit and like hanging from things and just doing all the things that are going to make her win, not make her feel good in training.
And it's a lot of the guys too that we talk about in that next level, they don't have running backgrounds. They like the strength stuff. They like the obstacles. And you're right. And that's something that, because they like it, they want to get better at it. But for a lot of those guys, they're so good at obstacles, there's no time for them to make up there, whereas they've got, a ceiling that they're not close to reaching as a runner. And, they're not coming close to that.
Speaking of ceilings, Ryan Woods, you are 39 years old. We all know that many an ultra runner can get better with age. But do you think about, Cody is, I think, older than you. Do you think you can still keep up with these early 30s guys for a while?
I mean, I think I can. I've got such a, like kind of Atkins was saying, I've got such a big running background. The running comes so easy for me that, I feel like I've got room to give up in running and still be really competitive out front. And with, you see the progress I make year after year in OCR, it's only because I've gotten stronger. My grip's gotten better, and I'm doing these other things, which makes me a good OCR athlete. So I think because of that, I can continue a downward trend in my running and still be at a top level in the sport for a couple more years. I mean, there's a limit to it, like I can't imagine it 3 years from now at 42 that I'll be running anything close to what I am for a flat 5K now. It's probably going to drop off another 20 seconds. But will I be fast enough to still be good in the sport? And the way the sport is now, I think that's mostly yes. I think, I could see myself easily in the top 10 at Tahoe or wherever it is.
Yeah,
it's going to be Tahoe at 42.
But you don't want to be top 10.
No, I want to win. But I mean, at some point in time, you've got to understand. And this is looking ahead. I don't know how the wheels are going to fall off for me over the next couple of years, but you realize that is going to happen. And there's a bit of embracing that, knowing it's going to happen, but still enjoying competing in endurance events. Should maybe changing who I am and what I do. Maybe if I'm still doing obstacle racing, it becomes less about Tahoe and it becomes more about toughest mutters, 8-hour challenge, and endurance challenges, things that might suit someone who's 3 years older than I am. I think that's an important part of aging. And I think I've done that over my whole life, going from track running to road running to mountain running to now an obstacle racer. And I think it's helped me age really well, keep me involved in all sports and keep me fit.
James Z, who's been a podium guy on the Savage circuit, wants to know, what is your flat 5K? We'll ask both of you. What is your flat 5K speed right now?
Who first?
Man, I don't know. If I had to walk outside right now and run a 5K, it would probably sit somewhere like right around 16 minutes, realistically. But I mean, I haven't done any road intervals or running in quite a while.
I'm mostly good for a 15:30, pretty much no matter what I do. I did get down to 15 flat in April, and I was really at my lightest for the year, and it was a perfect weather day on a perfectly flat course. I think the I focus on 5Ks, it wouldn't. I could still be hitting 15 flat on a regular basis, but in general, it's like 15, 30.
Cressa Peterson, creator of the shower toga. Do either of you own a shower toga, by the way?
I have a shower.
No.
Do either of you worry
I have a shower, but I don't have a toga.
Do either of you worry since he's been training so much more? Wait, first of all, have you guys seen this this amazing photo of me, by the way, on the at Rugged Maniac from the other day?
I commented on it, man. It looks like your eyeball on a Dunkin' Donuts. Like you've got that eye of the tiger, like something in front of you want. And I can't imagine it's a bell. It's got to be some sort of iced coffee.
I honestly posted it because I thought I had such a weird look on my face. And then my wife said, "You actually look pretty good." And then
I thought it was like 8 to 10 years ago. I thought it was like a young you. And then I saw you were wearing the Evo Jaws. I was like, whoa, Matt is skinny.
It's Mike Natali said, "You're looking too thin. I'm concerned about your eating habits. You're all hair and bones. Do you have the cancer?"
Hair and bones.
So for those watching, let's hold this up. Yeah, I wrote him back and I said, #hair and bones. I'm looking pretty dope, dude.
You look like a monkey.
Right? It's
good.
I love that. Like you're a true athlete, though, a true runner. You notice the shoes, right? But here's what's really sad. I know you guys don't listen to my exciting podcast, but I talked about this race. And it was my first race, like really trying in a long time. And see that guy behind me? My entire goal was to beat him and one other guy. And
the Gray Berets, right?
Yeah, the Gray Berets. So that's my level, right? I got to beat the guys in their 50s, right? Some of them are early 50s, though. But I made a very specific plan, right? I know Rugged Maniac is hardcore 5K, right? It's going to be right around 3.2, 2.5, 2.8. I got to make my move, right? And I'm focused on this guy in front of me. And then I watched him, he missed the bell in the obstacle. And I was got in my head about well, that means can he beat me or not? Whatever. Next thing you know, that guy behind me passed me, right? And
going was backwards.
My whole goal was to break the will of the guy in front of me by passing him late in the game when he didn't have any left. And in fact, I had my will broken by this guy, the fucking Frosty, because I was too concerned. No, Frosty, I don't have a kid named Frosty.
Surprised you don't.
Anyway, I'm wondering if that's ever happened to you in a race where you had your sights so set on the guy in front of you, and then you forgot about the people behind you, and someone, snatched you from behind.
Sneak attack?
Yeah, I don't even think he's sneaking.
Has that ever happened to you, Atkins? He's such a closer. That's why I'm curious too, because you never fall apart at the end. You're always, even if I'm ahead of you, I know you're lurking, just like in Utah and West Virginia and.
Yeah, I mean, I think I never really. I just try not to think about the people behind me, because if you start thinking about the people behind you, then it's like you're kind of making yourself go slower, if that makes sense.
You give up when they catch you at the end of the bucket and you're putting it down together and they throw in a surge. You just want to be done and quit. Oh, wait, that happened to me last weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like in West Virginia, Cody started catching me, and then I started we were kind of coming together and coming apart and stuff. And I just, mentally, I was like, I'm not racing Cody. I'm racing the guys in front of me, even though Cody was right beside me, because I just wanted to be up with the lead pack. So, yeah, it's kind of like a weird mindset thing.
Well, I feel like it would, but I feel like it's for you. I feel like it's always easier to be the hunter, right, than the hunted. So
it was a little different Saturday for Atkins, though, because he missed the spear. So he knew the position he was in wasn't where he was physically capable of being. So when you miss an obstacle, and you're trying to catch back up with guys that you're with before, you've got the engine to run with them. So when it's different when you fall off, someone runs away from you and then they get a gap on you. You usually don't close it down as much. And that's sort of unique to obstacle racing and Spartan racing,
right,
where you might be a minute and a half behind somebody that you're just as fast as or even faster than. So you do kind of keep that hope of closing down a gap like that.
Do you think, Woodsy, you said that once Ryan kind of, he did take the wind out of your sails and you kind of settled for third. Would there be other situations like maybe Tahoe, or if it was like points on the line difference between second and third, would you not give up at that moment, or just
Hello?
like, oh no? Hello?
Hello?
I'm here.
I think we lost. Oh, there you are.
Hey,
Couldn't hear you there for a minute. Hey.
welcome back. No, yeah, like
What's the last thing you heard?
I heard everything. I'll answer your question, and Atkins can chime in. No, like you always try, and mentally you always try and like fight for every position, and sometimes you do kind of fold at the end of a race. Had there been a mile to go, I probably wouldn't have folded, but it was less than half a mile, and you like to think that in Tahoe you'll fight for every position. I felt like in Utah I really fought for every position because I was catching guys the whole race, and I still had Atkins just bearing down behind me. Coming into the tire, I got that thing fast. He was 15 seconds behind me, and I was lucky I got in and out fast enough that I kept that same gap. Whereas in West Virginia, he was closing on me because I was breaking down. But you always want to have that fight. Some days it's just easier to shut down at the end. But in general, in theory, I'd like to think that I would dig deep every time out.
You must not like money, because it was like a $4,000 difference, wasn't it?
I know that was. Yeah, money. Thanks a lot, man. I thought he said he was going to give me a piece of it when he went running by, but I guess not.
There's no collusion or obstacle racing. Hey, I'll let you win because it'll mean more for you, and we'll split some of the money.
Gwitsky and I did that in Nashville, but it was $500 for first and $200 for second. So
right, but I think they still gave you the title, didn't they?
Oh yeah, because I'm better looking. I hope he's watching.
Gwitsky?
Watching Gwitsky? No, he's working.
Anyway,
did we answer that lady's question?
Anyway, guys.
How do we deal with Matt? How do we deal when that big hairy chest is bearing down on you? You just don't know what to do.
Dude, it's like I can't wait till Atkins is like in his 50s and I'm in my 60s, and that's when I fucking finally take him down. Like, that's my whole plan. You and Hunter.
Man,
I don't think Hunter will be that hard to take down in his
right. He's gonna get super fat, right?
As soon as he stops sports, he's just gonna be like.
He's gonna blow up. We're gonna see him, and it's gonna be like one of those. We're gonna do a Where Are They Now? And he's gonna be like this fucking.
Yeah. I think we're all probably going to end up that way, though.
He'll be doing curls.
Right, he'll still be strong.
That's still be the size of his head.
You know, man, he'll still be strong. Like, he could maybe win like a bare knuckles boxing match or something. From remember, hey, Ryan Woods. Atkins won't know this because it's very American and very old. Woods, remember those Eastwood movies, Every Which Way But Loose?
How old are you?
I'm 46.
I don't know, man. That's beyond my time. I was only born in the 70s, so.
So I was born in 72.
You're only 46? You've got a lot of go left in you.
Oh, damn.
I look phenomenal for 46. Look at this. Look at that.
You did.
What are we looking at? Your chin?
Yeah, your stubble.
Hey, guys.
Chin.
Hey, guys.
Look at my stubble.
Oh, look, I look like Bill Cower.
You do.
I look great.
Bill Cower, NC State guy. He had 200 tackles in one season.
How many tackles did you have?
Please.
300.
I want to say that that was also, I'm not sure if you noticed, this was a big deal for me. I ran shirtless for the first time in like 5 years.
I don't know if you realize what you're pointing at, but it's not what you think.
No, it's just like your screensaver with your kid or something.
Well, it was my first time running shirtless, and I think I look at least almost as good as Ryan Shirley. I don't have the abs yet, but I'm getting there.
Which Ryan?
The Woodsy.
Oh, damn it.
Okay, Javier Escobar says, would you guys rather fight a horse-sized duck or 1,000 duck-sized horses?
Ooh. I'm going to go with 1,000.
One horse-sized duck.
Really? I go with 1,000 because, I could just – those little horses, they're barely going to put a bite into you. But what a great segue to talk about the conversation I wanted to have. Which animal would rule the world if every animal was 200 pounds? And the answer, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, is a hummingbird. They fly backwards. Can you imagine a 200-pound hummingbird just buzzing all around with a 40-foot beak, just jabbing in your heart, sucking out the blood, trying to get sugar? A hummingbird would rule the world.
I think to like not to be a downer, but humans already do weigh 200 pounds, and we already kind of rule the world.
Yeah, but if everything else were 200 pounds, would we be able to take down a 200-pound hummingbird? A hummingbird weighs like a nickel, a little nickel. Like 200 pounds, they would destroy us.
Right.
They would just rip our hearts out and just be like, give me more.
Yeah.
What's your guesses?
It'd be pretty terrifying.
I just realized I can put him on mute, Atkins. Did you see this? We can't hear him anymore.
I think some kind of like eagle or would be pretty terrifying.
Oh, wrong.
They've got talons.
Oh, wrong. They're already like 20, 30 pounds. They're just going to be barely bigger.
Barely bigger, 10 times bigger.
1,000 times bigger for a hummingbird?
Yeah, but hummingbirds...
They fly backwards.
Disposition. They just fly around.
But, if they're that big, they're going to need more sugar water. They're going to have to turn to blood to get their calories fulfilled. For blood,
You're just afraid that they're going to suck the blood out.
They're going to destroy us all. They would rule the earth. End of story.
Woods, can you answer this question?
Not 2 scoops. You don't want to see me on 2 scoops.
Full body buzz.
Yeah.
Did you guys see my new sponsor yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I already ordered like a month's supply of that stuff.
Your boner pills.
Ready to go.
That is awesome, dude. So that one guy who that Ryan Kent was like saying was using DHEA, LaShawn Merritt, he actually reduced so he could compete in the Olympics. So because he was buying boner pills from a convenience store that had DHEA in them. So there you go.
What happened? Who's this?
LaShawn Merritt. He got banned. He tested positive for DHEA, but it turned out
he's Ryan Kent's friend.
No. He was one of the guys that he was just mentioning. Him and Lance, who used DHEA, which was false. But anyway, segue. Right. I did some research into it. He actually had his ban reduced because it was part of a boner pill he'd been going to daily at this local convenience store to have sexual relations with his lady. So be careful, Matt, is what I'm saying.
So he had been taking boner pills, and
yes.
He was an Olympic level athlete, and he didn't think that this would somehow make him test positive.
Listen, I'm not in his head. All right. I mean, I would be concerned about taking boner pills from a gas station, but he apparently was not.
Man, anything I like look at sideways, I'm like, what's this gut in it? Like, this guy sounds like an idiot.
I'm that way now too. I wish I had been a little earlier.
You guys wish they'd bring back the old Tyrolean Traverse?
They had it in West Virginia.
They did?
Yeah,
of course. No, they have it on all.
Were you not watching the live stream?
I couldn't keep up with
Davis.
I couldn't keep up with the whole thing.
I'm guessing the live stream probably did not show the Tyrolean Traverse.
It did for the women.
Oh, well, geez, wow, well done.
I went back and watched that live stream, and it was like so. It just made me sad because I was like, after the race, I was like, I had a pretty good race. Like, yeah, it was pretty good. And then I watched the live stream because I had a fever.
Did you exist?
I had a fever on Sunday. It was actually bad. It was a rough state.
Hey,
but
I'm gonna
live stream.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying I watched the live stream, and it was like I was expecting like to see myself like, oh, and here comes Ryan making an epic comeback. But like literally, they didn't show any of that. It was just like, oh, look how great Killian is, and oh, who's that? Yeah,
he's running away. He's got a huge lead.
Ryan Atkins. Oh yeah, but yeah, let's not show them. Let's just focus on Killian, who
you knew it was going to be a disaster for the men's coverage with them doing the women's first. I mean, I know they're doing that show now for the women, but
literally that decisive moment.
Uh-oh, he's gone.
Wasn't in it at all.
Yeah, no. Well, think about
it.
The women were going to be finishing at the exact same time that the men were coming through the obstacle gauntlet, so they can't cover both. So you knew, like, if there was any sort of men's race coming down to the wire, that they were going to miss it.
Well, to give them a little bit of slack, knowing from doing that, they can only talk about what they're given, right? And someone's in a booth trying to show, like, okay, that's boring. Let's go here. It was like, you know what I mean? And so, like, they happen to catch Ryan. Like, you want to get everybody at the spear because, if he misses it, that's huge, whatever. but they can only talk about what they're given, and then so it's more about the director or producer going, okay, the camera might be down.
Let's show that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I think the issue occurred when they decided to have the women go a half hour before the men.
Right.
When the women are going to be nearly a half hour slower than the men, so you knew they'd all be coming through at the finish. Although I appreciated it because they got torn up and we didn't.
That is a different issue. I want to show Ryan Atkins a photo, and I want you to tell me the first word that comes to your head, Ryan Atkins, when I show you this photo. You ready? I'm just using all the amazing features I've got here.
I'm scared.
Can I answer this?
Yeah, man.
Fat.
Look at that.
Look at those cheeks. He's fat.
That was the coming out party for Ryan Atkins 5 years ago.
I'm giving you the thumbs up. Matt, that's when we first met.
I know. It's very sweet, right?
Aw. We should just mute Woods again. He's being obnoxious.
Right? Oh, here's another good one. Hang on.
Put your hat on.
Hang on, here's another good one. Hang on. Oops, where'd it go? Oh shit. Oh man.
That was 5 years ago.
I know. Look at this one.
Can you imagine that?
Look at you.
You look like a baby.
Look at you.
I've got a little something on my face there. Just a little something.
So this was
so young.
Atkins was so far ahead. He was just chilling there for like 2 hours and had already won it. Seriously,
mid race.
Remember that?
Yeah. I was like, do I have to go for another lap? No, turns out I didn't. Man, honestly though, looking back at that race, I think that's probably my best performance ever, or just in how hard I pushed my body, because I was literally destroyed for a week after that race. I couldn't move my arm, my rotator cuff and my shoulder. Looks like the muscles or whatever were just kaput.
You probably weren't nearly as well prepared back then as you were now.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I wasn't prepared at all. Look at the wizard Jew. Look at those eyebrows. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't prepared at all. I was just like, yeah, I can run for 24 hours. I got this.
Now are you going to get 100 miles in Iceland?
Yeah, someone was asking about Iceland earlier.
Yeah, he's giving you the horns.
Yeah. So, although I'm pretty sure that Spartan's going to throw some curveball.
5 mile bucket carry.
So crazy.
So you're going.
Yeah.
You're going.
5 mile.
There's your triple bucket.
You're going whether you win Tahoe or not. You're going to do Iceland.
Right.
They've got $100,000 bonus for 100 miles. So
no, it's $1 million.
Yeah.
No, that's if you win all 3 and 100 miles. But if you get just 100 miles in that race and win, there's a $100,000 bonus.
So Ryan Woods is definitely not going, right?
No.
All right. Well, I think that's been pretty. Dope. I think that's been a pretty good chat, guys.
Yeah. Just back to Iceland before we go.
Okay.
There's actually all these weird issues that I'm kind of dealing with, because I guess last year they did this thing where 21 hours in, you had to cross, you couldn't go out for another lap after 21 hours. So it basically turned it into a 22-hour race, which is so dumb because Spartan, Aru, they're we're so great. Let's have this 24-hour race that's only 21 hours.
That's how they're going to get you. You're not going to get your 100 because you're going to be on pace and they're going to be like, we're going to stop this at 12. You can't go out after 12 hours.
You know what? It's hard. So let's just cut it early. That's basically what they did with their whole 21-hour versus. They call it a 24-hour race, and then they only let you race for 21 hours.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Whereas Mutters,
you need to get on them. You need to get on them about this, Matt B.
Okay,
Davis.
I will.
And any viewers, get on them. Get on them.
And then
complain.
And then they do this other thing where you're not allowed.
Right at Coach Joe DI.
Yeah, you send the message, Joe DI. Why is a 24-hour race only 21 hours long? So they're like, let's do 100 miles.
I will.
Yeah, we're only going to make it.
Get on them.
And then
complain.
And then they do this other thing where you're not allowed. Oh, what's happening?
Sorry.
That was chaos.
Sorry.
That's kind of awesome.
So here's the thing. I'm trying to take a picture of all of us. Where'd you go? So whereas Tough Mudder's the opposite, it stops at 24, but you really have 25 and a half, right, to finish your last lap.
Exactly. Yeah.
So honestly, that's a really good point. And listen. I'm talking to those guys all the time. You personally, as someone who's up for the money, you should email Mike and Jody and point that out.
I have.
Oh,
I messaged Joe, and he's like, here's zero information that's helpful. And then I messaged Mike.
Which Joe?
And DI.
Okay.
And then I messaged Mike, and he was like, well, that's the way it was last year, so it's probably going to be the same way this year. Like, I don't know. It's just like they either don't care or
they don't want to pay.
They don't have the ability to change it.
And this is the thing. This is what I told the Senna, is that it's going to be viewed as you don't want to pay, whereas they just don't have their shit together. Like they just, you know what I mean?
Well, right. And then, yeah, they have all these like things making it harder. I mean, I think like the last 3 years with Mutter and the $50,000 bonus, and like they paid, and it's been like a very feasible and possible challenge to accomplish, which I think is cool. If you're going to make a challenge, make it like possible. And I think everyone just has this perception that Spartan's going to come out and do and make it just ridiculous or change something midway through, which is like very Spartan-esque to do.
And it kind of already is that way, though. With the, I mean, the winner was 71 miles last year. You got to go to get 150% further than last year's winner, 50% further than Robert Killian did last year. You know, who's gone over 100 in Toughest Mudder.
I'm going to email you guys. I'm going to email you guys, not you, Ryan Woods, because you're not very good at long distance. But I'm going to email. Many comments from the chat. A lot of people are asking about the cat.
Meow.
Okay, speaking of money, do either of you want to make a public plea right now? Is there any race series that owes either of you money that's still in existence?
I did a 5K, the tuition trot in Florida in 2007. I won $1,500. The race director got sent to jail. He never paid me. I want my money. Tuition trot 5K. Give me my money.
I said if the race is still in existence. Is that race still around?
No, he's in jail.
Well, then that doesn't count. I was specific.
I didn't listen to the instructions.
When he got out of jail. Man, no, like Battle Frog paid everything that was owed, which was pretty cool of them when they went under. Like, yeah. No.
Are there any other race series that currently owe you money, or you guys all square?
Well, Spartan hasn't paid out for the series yet, but I'm sure that should be the next week.
Yeah, that's coming. Yeah, everything I haven't been paid is just on its way. It's in the mail.
I just like to keep these guys honest.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that everyone's doing pretty good. Yeah. I wish I could do more racing, but I think people do a lot of racing, or like too much racing. So many races, and like seems like in other sports people do so much less racing, and you can really train a lot better and have higher quality.
Who do you want to shout out besides Endure Elite, Ryan Woods, before we go? Butcher
of Boone, Timber Woods. We got the whole posse here in the house. That's my shout out. Is that good?
Yeah.
Did we get any questions that we didn't
Atkins, do you want to shout anybody out? Well,
Human N.
That's it,
has
folks.
Been like supporting.
I guess we're gonna shut it down. Unless you want to just do the Matt and Ryan show.
Oh, Atkins is gone. What happened?
I got rid of him.
Because he talked too much about Beat Elite.
Was he talking about Beat Elite?
Yeah, I thought you did that on purpose. You start talking, thanking his sponsors, and you're like, "Well, I'm going to shut it down."
I couldn't hear him anymore.
Well, it's all right. You know, we know his sponsors are.
On, Matt.
There he is. He's back.
He's frozen. He's frozen on my end. Do you see him?
Yeah, I see him. Oh.
Am I here?
All right, you guys. Thanks so much. Be good.
Sorry.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much for listening. I know that was an awkward ending, but it ended awkward. What can I say? Sometimes technology gets in the way. Hey, I want to do a quick shout out again to my main man, Mike. OCR Beast Bros. Is that it? Am I saying it right? OCR Beast Bros mode? Beast Mode Bros? He's awesome. I'll send you that link. Shout out to Caitlin and Mike again. I'm sure they're going to have an awesome episode this week. It's actually probably going to be up already, maybe by the time you hear this. Obstacle Running Adventures. It's a green logo in the iTunes. And if you hit mine, I think it'll say listeners also subscribe too. Shout out to all the Patreonics. Also, we do videos, man. Have you been checking out the videos we do? Go to Obstacle Racing Media. Go on our IG stories, our IGTV, and also the Facebook page to see some of the wacky videos we're making, which have a lot of good information. We just want to be your home for great shit. We just want to be your home for great content, and I want to do whatever I can to help make that happen. Drop me a note, mattbdavis@icloud.com. I'm Matt B. Davis on all platforms. Love you, miss you, mean it. I've got to run.